Hey K2, I hope you're having a good morning or good afternoon. Today we're going to talk some more about nonfiction. And when we read nonfiction, we make connections. So we're going to do some more of that thinking work today. When we read, we make connections and we think about how is this similar to something I've already read? Or how is this similar to something in my life? Or maybe something I've seen on a TV show or a movie or a magazine. Something that's happened to me. So today we're going to learn how these connections can help us better understand the books that we read. All right, let's try it out. When I read, I always think about what I already know about the thing that I'm reading about. I've either seen it before, or maybe I've read it, or I've heard grown-ups talking about it. I think to myself, what do I already know about this topic that I'm reading? And how does what I already know connect to the text or the book that I'm reading? It makes me say, hey, that reminds me of a time when I did that. Or, hey, that reminds me of another book or text that I read. When we make these connections, we think about what is the same and what is different about the idea or topic. I also think, what do I feel or think now after reading this book? So I'm going to read and show you how I make connections. Today we're going to read the story, What We Wear, Dressing Up Around the World. What we wear, dressing up around the world. Okay. Around the world, we dress up to have fun. We dance and play. Wearing feathers, beads, and flowers. Dressing up means celebrating who we are. And what we believe. I am making a connection right now in my mind. The first part that we read reminds me of a dance recital that I had when I was little. When it says dress up to have fun, it reminds me when I was in a dance class and I had a recital. And then the second part reminds me of when we dress up to go to church. So all of these connections that I'm making, the dancing, playing, and celebrating, makes me think that kids all over the world do this. They all dress up to celebrate special holidays. We wear special clothes to go to school. Play games and be a part of a team. Okay, guys, now it's your turn to make a connection. What do the photographs and words, the author's words, how do they make you make a connection here? What do they make you think of? Maybe you say, hey, that reminds me of. Okay, I want you to pull out your whisper turtle and tell them, make a connection to your turtle. Ready? How can you make a connection to these pages? Okay, so if you were able to make a connection, I want you to take your two thumbs and press them together like this. And that means you made a connection. Now, I can't see if you've made one or not, so if you're having a hard time, let's talk about it. Some of you might have played on a sports team before, or maybe you were a Cub Scout or a Girl Scout, and you wear uniforms when you're on a team or in the Girl Scouts or Cub Scouts. So you're making a connection here because that makes you say, hey, this reminds me of when I was on a team or I wore a uniform. This page with the kids wearing their uniforms to school makes me think of Harry Potter because they wear uniforms to school. Or maybe another movie. So now that you've made your connection, I'm going to ask you two questions. How does this information go together? And what does it make me feel or think? So think about that for a minute. So some of you might be thinking, people can identify each other or they know each other when they're wearing special uniforms. So that's one way that's what how to put those two things together. We wear all the colors of a rainbow. Paint our faces and wear masks. Maybe some of you are making a connection here. Maybe you've painted your face before or worn a mask. This part makes, I should do our sign. That part makes me think of our fall festival. And so how does this information go together? Well, the little kids have their face painted, and at the fall festival, I got my face painted. And it makes me feel, so our second question, how does it make me feel or think? Makes me feel happy when I make a connection to this page because I was so excited at the fall festival. Dressing up means playing pretend. Okay, I want to stop here and I want you to make a connection. What here makes you say, hey, this reminds me of? Pull out your whisper turtle and tell him. I wonder if some of you said, this reminds me of dressing up at school at the housekeeping center. And we are making this connection because they're playing dress up and you play dress up. And now think, how does that make me feel? It makes me feel good and it makes me feel sad because it makes me miss being at school. We wear what we like and feel our best. The children in this book come from all over the world. And here is a map of the whole world. And all of the countries that are colored are places that the friends live that we saw in this book. They live on all of those different countries. So we were right. Children all over the world dress up and celebrate, just like we do. So it's important for us to remember as readers that as we read, we think about what we already know and make connections to help us better understand what we read. When we make a connection, we have to push ourselves to think harder and to say more about what we're learning. So this chart helps us know how to do that. When we make a connection, we stop and say, hey, this reminds me of something from my life. Or this reminds me of something I've read in a book or a magazine. Or I've seen this on TV or in movies. Or hey, this reminds me of something I heard on the news or grown-ups talking about. So think, how does it go together and what does it make me feel or think about? So when readers make connections, they're thinking, and this helps them better understand the topics that they read about. I hope that today when you're reading during your independent reading time, either on Raz Kids or pick a book at your house, that you'll make a connection to the book. You can do this in nonfiction and fiction. But nonfiction, when we make a connection, helps us better understand that specific topic. Okay, guys, have great reading time, and I hope you make some great connections. Enjoy your reading. Bye.